anytime you have a business and you're actually talking about the different products you have in your business, what if I told you that you should only give your customers two choices? Let's say that there is a shoe salesman. The lady comes in and she says, I'd like to see these pair of shoes in a size 7, please. The shoe salesman brings the size 7. My wife tries on the shoes and she goes, I'm not really sure. Let me see that pair of shoes in a size 7. The shoe salesman brings those shoes over. He puts them down. She tries them on. Then she says, I like this, but let me take a look at those shoes. And here is what the salesman says. No problem. Which one of the ones you have in front of you would you like me to take away? He doesn't bring over a third pair or a fourth pair or a fifth pair. He asks, which one would you like for me to take away?
We're the 3%ers. Yeah. We're the 3%ers. Yeah. You gotta know what your word. Don't need more than just words. We don't just talk it, we live it. You want it, go get it and put in that word. We're the 3.
Ooh rah, let's go. Steve Wilmer here, guys, United States Marine, author, speaker, and business coach. Welcome to 3% Mindset Podcast. Only 3% of people make $250,000 a year. I was one of those people. I struggled to make my first 6 figures, but I built a system. I have a team of coaches standing by to be able to help you guys cut that time in half so you ain't got all the trial and errors that we had to go through. So let's dive right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about sales. As a business owner, you must know how to sell. Let's get this work. So here is mistake number 1 in sales. Selling products instead of solving the customer's problems. I don't know how many times I speak to somebody in sales and the first thing they do is start talking about their product, how sweet their company is, what their product can do for me. Stop selling products. I tell all of my State Farm clients, if you want to sell more life insurance, stop selling life insurance. You have to focus on the problem that you solve, not the product. Remember, when problems are solved, money changes hands. Because in the end, nobody cares about your product. The only thing people care about, including you, including me, can you solve my problem? It's the WIFM, right? Everybody's favorite radio station. What's in it for me? So let me go through a few examples so you can see what I'm talking about. And you might be thinking to yourself, you know what? That's exactly me. That's exactly how I pitch my product or I sell my product. Don't worry about it because I'm going to teach you exactly what to say and what not to say. First, I'm going to go over what not to say, and then I'll turn right around and teach you what to ask. So let's say you sell websites for a living. You may say to somebody, I build websites. Wrong. Instead, you may want to say something like, as someone who understands the importance of having a strong internet presence, I make sure that people can find you and connect with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't start off telling somebody about what you do. You start off by making sure you can explain the problem that you can solve for the customer. If you are a coach or a business consultant, that is not how you want to describe what you do. That's the wrong way to do it. Instead, you may want to just go at them as someone who owned a business or as someone who understands the importance of increasing their revenue in a business. I diagnose the problem and I can help you solve whatever that issue is. I can help you increase the revenue in your business. So increasing revenue in your business, would that be important to you? So it's not about me being a coach. It's not about me being a consultant. It's about what I can do for your company. Is revenue important to you? Would it be important to increase your revenue? What is your current revenue? One of my favorite questions to ask a customer, how much money did you leave on the table last year? Did you get every single bit of it? Every single thing you wanted to get and every single number you wanted to hit in your business, did you hit that number? Most likely I get answers like, no. Nobody ever says, yes, I made all the money I want. No, I didn't. Or they'll say this, oh, it can always be better. Well, good. So what does better mean to you? Remember, it's not about what you say, it's about what you ask. If you own a marketing company, you do not pitch your business by saying, I own a marketing company. Instead, you tell the person what you can do for them. So you may want to say something like, your level of success is determined by your level of exposure. How many people know about your business? Can people see your business? Are you running Facebook ads? We can run Facebook ads. We can run this type of ad. We can make sure that your business gets out to the masses. So again, you explaining to the customer what you can do for them instead of simply telling them who you are and what your business does or what your product is. If you have a health company, you don't say, I have a health company. I help people do this or I help people do that. It's all about the questions you ask. So if I owned a health company, I may ask a question like, is good health important to you? Because I know that most people are going to say yes. Good health is important to you. It's important to me as well. And depending on what your product is, if your product, I don't know, makes somebody feel better, gives them more energy. What about having more energy? Is that important to you? And then maybe tell a really quick story. You know what? I hate getting up in the morning. I used to get up. I was tired. I was sleepy. I just never felt like I got enough sleep. But even when I got 8 hours of sleep, I was still dragging throughout the day. And those quick energy drinks and those quick 5-hour energies, number one, I had a crash. And number two, they didn't last long. And then I would tell them what I found. Here's what I found. And at that point, you can talk about whatever your product is. So what you're doing there is you're not talking about my health company, my product. You're starting with the problem that you can solve for the customer. So again, when we're talking about sales, remember, please, it is not about your product. Stop leading with your product. You always lead with the problem that you can solve for the customer. It's not about how sweet you are. It's about how sweet the deal is that you can give to the customer. Here is amateur thinking. How do I explain what my product is? Professional thinking. How do I explain what my product can do for them? How I can solve their problem. We got to stop thinking like an amateur and we got to start thinking like a professional. And by the way, professionals use scripts. Amateurs wing it. People are always saying to me, I hate scripts. I don't want to use a script. I want to be real. I want to be on the go or on the fly. You don't shoot from the hip. Everything that I say in sales, believe it or not, the majority of it, it's a script. I know exactly what I'm going to say. I know exactly how I'm going to say it. I know exactly the questions that I'm going to ask. Why? Because it is a written, proven script. All you do is this. You take the script and you give it your personality. Not my personality. You got to give it your personality. That's where the authenticity comes in at. Remember this. Authenticity gets you paid more. When you go to the movies and you see your favorite actor, when you see your favorite film, I hate to break this to you. It's a script. It is not real. But their personality, they make it real. They bring it to life. Sales is no different. So get out of your mind, I don't want to use a script. I want to be real. You had better know exactly what you're going to say to your customer, exactly what you're going to ask, or you are not going to be able to close that sale. Get over yourself. Use the damn script. Most business owners, they don't struggle with selling. They struggle with truly diagnosing what the problem is. They start talking about features. They start talking about vague promises. They start talking about the product instead of finding out what the problem is and diagnosing the problem. It's just like when you go to the doctor. The doctor will ask you a question and then another question and then another question. Why? Because they're trying to diagnose the problem. Once they diagnose the problem, then they prescribe the proper medication. If they did it any other way, that would be considered malpractice. Am I right? It's no difference in business. When you're speaking with a patient, when you're speaking with a prospect, when you're speaking with a customer, you've got to diagnose what the problem is. What is the issue? What is the pain point? And then at the end, you can come in and prescribe the proper medication to take care of that pain. That's what selling is all about. Get it out of your head that you have to be some elite salesperson. You don't. All you have to do is learn the fundamentals and the basics of sales. And that's what we're going to teach you here. 3% mindset. Let's keep going. Here's another mindset you've got to get rid of. If I explain myself better, if I explain my product better, the customer is going to want to buy what I have because it's going to make sense to them. But that's not how it works. In insurance, I used to think the same thing. If I explain the insurance policy, if I go over every aspect of the insurance policy, it's going to make sense to the customer, and the customer is going to want to buy what I have. That did not work, and it will not work in your business. It's not about explaining every single bit. See, here's the problem. A lot of you are over talking. A lot of you are over explaining. You're giving your customer too much information. You're giving your customer too many choices. As a matter of fact, anytime you have a business and you're actually talking about the different products you have in your business, what if I told you that you should only give your customers 2 choices? Now, let me give you an example. Let's say that there is a shoe salesman and the lady comes in. Yes, I'm using a lady because my wife buys shoes. The lady comes in and she says, I'd like to see these pair of shoes in a size 7, please. The shoe salesman brings the size 7. My wife tries on the shoes and she goes, I'm not really sure. Let me see that pair of shoes in a size 7. The shoe salesman brings those shoes over. He puts them down. She tries them on. Then she says, I like this, but let me take a look at those shoes. And here is what the salesman says. No problem. Which one of the ones you have in front of you would you like me to take away? He doesn't bring over a 3rd pair or a 4th pair or a 5th pair. He asks, which one would you like for me to take away? Because here's what he has discovered. When you give a person too many choices, they don't make any choice at all. It's overwhelming. It's the same thing in your business. It doesn't matter if you have 10 choices, 5 choices, 11 choices, 3 choices. It should always come down to 2 different choices. Which one would you like for me to take away? Which one is no longer on the table? The real job of selling, it is not educating. It is not explaining. It is 100% diagnosing the problem. Let me go over the framework, if you will, of selling. Number 1, you must find out the current situation. Number 2, you must find out what's actually broken, because then you're able to solve the problem. Number 3, and this is very important, what is it costing the customer if they don't fix the problem? And number 4, that's you. You are the solution to fix that problem. What is the product? What is the service that you offer? Let me give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. You've been in business for 3 years. You're working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, but your business is still not growing. You're talking to everybody. You're talking to the right people, but they are still not buying from you. You're posting, you're marketing, but nothing is converting. You're frustrated, feeling stuck, and nothing is working, and you're at your wit's end about what to do. Notice, I never told you what I do for a living. I never told you anything about my business. All I'm doing is listening to the customer, diagnosing their issues, and diagnosing their problem. So one of my favorite things to say to a customer is, here's what I heard you say. So as I'm diagnosing a problem, Well, here's what I heard you say. You're frustrated, you're marketing, I go through all the simple things they just told me. And then I ask this very important question. Did I miss anything? Number one, it shows that I'm listening. We're going to be talking about listening later on. It shows I'm listening. I repeat back everything. And just in case I miss something, I'll ask, did I miss anything? Once I have diagnosed the problem, then and only then do I come in, talk about the service, talk about the product, talk about whatever it is that I have, my business, that directly relates to whatever the issue or whatever the problem was that they just told me about. Sales is not hard. It is not you trying to convince somebody to buy your product or service. That's where people miss it. That's why people say, I don't like to convince people. I'm not a salesperson. I don't convince anyone to do anything they don't want to do. That's a bad salesperson. As a matter of fact, I personally hate it when someone says to me, this guy is so good in sales, he can sell ice to an Eskimo. Now, I get what they're saying, but listen to this. If I'm selling ice to an Eskimo, then I'm selling the Eskimo something they don't need, something they don't want. An Eskimo doesn't need ice. Hell, they're surrounded by ice. All I do is I ask questions. I find what the problem is. Then and only then do I come in and provide the solution to help the customer ease their pain, fix their problem. In the end, it is something that they want. My current business. Do you want to earn more income? Do you want to increase your revenue? Do you want your team to be able to increase more revenue? Do you want them to be able to overcome the objections? Do you want to travel? Do you want to have more income in your bank? Do you want to grow your business to $250,000 to $500,000 to $1 million? Are these the things that you want in your business? When I ask those questions, I get a yes. Of course, I want those things. If I were to ask the Eskimo, do you want more ice? He or she would look at me like I'm crazy. So, sales is not about convincing. Get that out of your mind. A true salesperson, a top-notch salesperson, they're in the service business. I'm simply here to serve you in any way that I can. I'm simply here to help you get the things you told me that you wanted. Now, let me show you how I can do what you just told me that you wanted. That's a top-notch salesperson. Now, here is why this works psychologically. People think sales is all about a word track. Again, you're going to have word tracks. You have to use a word track. You have to use a script. But sales is so much more than a word track. It's also psychological. It's our mind. 3% mindset. People will buy from you when they feel like you understand them. People will buy from you when they feel like you are concerned about them and not you. You cannot have commission breath. You got to change your thinking. You got to change your mindset. I know you want to close the sale. I'm going to help you close the sale. But if you come across like commission breath, I'm just in this for the commission, you're going to lose that sale. Commission breath is like bad breath, right? Everybody hates bad breath. Everybody hates that salesperson that they know is only in it to get a commission. So again, make them feel understood. Naming the problem, that creates an emotional connection. Tension drives action, and when there is tension, that's the action. The action causes a pain, and the pain will equal a sale. When someone feels good and calm, there's no real need to move forward. They've got to feel some type of pain, some type of sense of urgency. If you aren't making your customer feel anything, they're not buying anything. These three things will also kill sales. Being too vague, trying to be liked, and soft language. If it doesn't sting just a little bit, it's too soft. If it applies to everyone, we've already discussed this, it's useless. And if it doesn't imply a cost, it won't convert. Now, don't make the mistake of me using the word cost. When I say a cost, you may be thinking, what does it cost to have your product? Wrong, wrong, wrong. What does it cost them if they don't have your product? If you don't work with me and my company, it's going to take you longer to hit that $250,000. How does that make you feel? If you've been struggling up to this point, what are you going to do differently? How much money did you leave on the table last year? Do you want to make change this year and earn more income? Would it be important to increase your revenue to $250,000? Great. Let's get started. If you can't clearly define what it's costing someone to stay exactly where they are right now without your product or without your service, they're not going to move. So stop trying to be nice and be open and honest with your customers. Make them see what it's going to cost them if they don't do business with you. Okay, now let me talk about something that has nothing to do with the mechanics of sales, but I promise you, if you're already in business, I guarantee you have already experienced this. And if you're a brand new business owner, I guarantee you will absolutely experience it. If you are expecting to make a lot of sales to your friends and your family members, you had better lower your expectation. Here are a couple of reasons why. Number one, your friends and your family members, they see you as you. They don't see you as a business owner. They don't see you as the expert. Prospects, customers, they don't know you from Adam. But your friends, your family, they've been knowing you since you were a child. They know you as Steve. They don't see you as the business consultant. They don't see you as the coach. So lower your expectations if you think that you're going to just make so many sales to the people that you know and the people that know you. It's not going to happen that way because they remember your past, not your expertise. Remember this, credibility automatically resets to 0 when you start a business. If I'm your friend and you've been knowing me for years, I have credibility with you as a friend. If you're my family member, I have credibility with you as a family member. But if I start a business, credibility automatically resets to 0. You don't know me as the expert. You don't know me as the business owner. So don't take it personal. It's just the way that it is. The second reason is that friends and family member, they don't want the relationship to change. Right now, we're friends. Right now, you're my cousin, you're my brother, you're my sister. But if I buy something from you, now the relationship changes. There are expectations. There's accountability. And if the product doesn't work, there could be some friction. Most people avoid mixing money and friendship. My wife, Erin, is a financial advisor. She manages millions of dollars. They're called assets under care. Everybody in our family and all of our friends know what she does for a living. I will let you guess how many people that are friends of ours and family members actually do business with her. I'll give you a hint. It's not a lot. They know her as Erin. They know her as the Navy chief. They don't know her as the financial expert who has gone through all of these classes, who has just about every license with finances you can think of, who's licensed in about 13 different states, who's already managing millions and millions of dollars from millionaires. They still see her as Erin. So please manage your expectations. Number 3, and it's one of the worst ones, because they're your friends, because they're your family, they think they're going to get it for free. How many times do you hear, hook me up? Let me get it for free. And if you're listening to this podcast and you have a friend that owns a business, stop asking for things for free. How about support your friend and pay for it? How about spread the word for it? How about go on social media and tell everybody about it? That costs you nothing. But stop asking for things for free. Nobody owes you anything. Here's number 4, and this is your fault. You're not positioning it as a business. You're still positioning it as a hobby. When you introduce it, do you pitch it like a hobby? Hey man, I just started something. Hey man, I need a favor. Hey, why don't you do this for me? Why don't you support my business? If you position it as a hookup, if you position it as a hobby, that's exactly how your friends and family are going to treat it. We've already been over the framework on how to position your business. Let's make sure you do that, especially when you're talking with your friends and your family. Here's number 5. They are not your target audience. They are not your market. We've already discussed this. Just because they're your friends, just because they're your family, doesn't mean it's your target market. They may not even have a problem for you to solve. And here's the last piece. Most of your friends and family, they don't buy from you, but they are watching. They are watching to see if you continue to move forward. They're watching to see if you become discouraged and give up. They're watching to see if your product or service can actually do what you say that it can do. Then they may come around. They may buy from you. They may support you. But here's the key. It doesn't matter if your friends or family buy from you or support you. This is not their business. This is your business. God didn't give them the vision. He gave it to you. So what are you going to do with the vision and the gift that he gave to you? Are you going to quit? Are you going to give up just because people who you thought were going to support you don't support you? If you treat your business like that hobby, that's how people are going to see it. But once you are locked in, you are laser focused, you know exactly where you're headed, you're bought in, and no one can stop you, and people around you begin to see that, then and only then will they get off the bench and then come over and start to support you. Again, not necessarily because it's a favor to you, because you have demonstrated that you're serious about this. You have a problem that you can solve for them, and they trust you to solve it. All right, team, here is your mission. Here is your challenge. I want you to really think about the problem that you solve. What problem does your business solve for the customer? I want you to break it down with 3 different bullet points. And remember, each bullet point must cause some type of pain. Practice the 3 bullet points. You won't use all 3 of them when you're pitching, when you're in your elevator speech, but you must be able to know each one of them. Then I want you to do this. I want you to memorize it. Next, I want you to say it in front of a mirror. Then I want you to say it to a friend or family member. Then I want you to say it to a room full of strangers. Once you do this, you'll have it down pat. All right, that is my time. Make sure you join us on the next episode. Subscribe, share, please comment. If you have a question, make sure you ask your question in the comment, because I absolutely want to be able to answer those questions for you. Until the next time, remember the 2 most important things in life and business: love God, love people. 3% mindset. Hoorah.